2 years. That's how long families waited in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, gathering daily under the weight of impossible grief. 2 years of bombardment in Gaza, where, according to multiple analysts, the majority of 2.3 million people have been internally displaced, and most of the territory lies in ruin. And then, in a matter of hours, this week it happened. Israel's cabinet ratified a ceasefire. Hamas agreed to release 20 living hostages within 72 hours. US President Donald Trump, speaking on Fox News, called it probably the biggest deal ever made. But here's what everyone, from former US diplomats to Palestinian analysts, are telling us. This isn't a peace, it's a pause. And the next phase, the one that determines whether Gaza rebuilds or descends back into wars, is where real steps begin. This is a story of a fragile promise built on unprecedented pressures, personal diplomacy, and a recognition that, as Trump himself told Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel cannot fight the war. Let me take you inside what actually happened. Hamed Fahoud al-Khatib, a Palestinian American analyst born and raised in Gaza, now a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, in an interview to ABC News, described what he called cautionary optimism. People in Gaza are right to celebrate, Al-Khatib said. After all, they've had to endure the horrors of the last 2 years, endless bombardment, endless death, and destruction all around. But he immediately added a warning. I don't believe the war is actually over yet. The agreement has two critical parts. Phase 1, which has now been ratified, addresses the immediate humanitarian crisis, the hostage exchange, the flow of aid, and a partial withdrawal of Israel forces. According to Sharon Haskell, Israel's deputy foreign minister, speaking from Tel Aviv, the time frame President Trump established calls for a hostage returns to begin within 72 hours of signing. But phase 2, that's where, as Al-Hakib put it, the arguably even more difficult work begins: the future of Gaza, governance, disarmament, the international security force. All of that, he emphasized, will require its own separate set of agreements and negotiations. So, how did we get here? Multiple experts point to one figure: Donald Trump. Frank Lewestein, who served as a U.S. Special Envoy for Middle East Peace, told Sky News that Trump's approach was uniquely effective precisely because of his unorthodox style. I think Prime Minister Erdogan of Turkey, his personal involvement really made a big difference, Lowenstein explained, as did President Trump pressuring Prime Minister Netanyahu in a way that a democratic president never could. That pressure became public after Israel struck Hamas target inside Qatar, the very country hosting negotiations. According to Lowenstein, that was the turning point in this war. Netanyahu really overacted. After that, all of the Arab countries came together and they want to Trump said. And after that, all of the Arab countries came together and they want to Trump and said, you have to rein Israel's in. Trump responds, according to the president on Fox News interview, he told Netanyahu directly, Israel cannot fight the war, Bibi. They can fight the war. Dave Sharma, a former Australian ambassador to Dave Sharma, former Australian ambassador to Israel and now a Liberal senator, emphasized the regional coalition role. Hamas' international lifeline has been primarily Qatar, to lesser degree Iran, Egypt, and Turkey. Qatar is particularly has toughened its stance in the last month or two under growing pressure from the US administration. And here's the remarkable part. Trump explicitly credited his use of tariff as a diplomatic weapon. Without tariff, he told Fox, you wouldn't be stopping wars. I've saved millions of lives using tariffs. But beneath the geopolitical chess game are human beings. Sharon Haskell's voice carried both hope and anguish when she spoke about what comes next. When they come back, and we know that from testimonies of people who survived Hamas captivity and torture, the rehabilitation process is very, very difficult. Many of them, most of them, haven't returned to a normal life. She added, something that cuts to the heart of this conflict. For those who were held for 2 years, tortured, abused sexually, physically, and emotionally, and psychologically, this can take years, if not a lifeline to recover from. On Palestinian side, Al-Haqib acknowledged the relief many will feel. I am happy that there will be many Palestinians from Gaza who were captured during the war going back to their families. But he immediately voiced concern about the prisoner exchange, especially mentioning 240, 250 lifters, security prisoners, who are getting released. He's worried. A repeat of Yahya Sinwar, who was released in a previous exchange deal. Now, here's where every expert we hear from sounds the alarm. Michael Ratney, former US ambassador to Saudi Arabia, put it bluntly to Sky News. A bit more pessimistic than many of the analysts I've been listening today. His concern center on two critical factors: the degree to which the Israel government is committed to an actual withdrawal of their forces, and second, the degree to which Hamas is committed to disarmament. The problem, as Ratney explained, it's circular. If Israel determines that Hamas is not actively disarming, they have no more incentive to withdraw their force. If Hamas doesn't think Israel is sincere about actually withdrawing from Gaza, they have no incentive to disarm. Al-Haktib laid out the governance challenge even more starkly. He described a scenario where Hamas basically wants to regain but not directly rule, calling it a miniaturized version of the Hezbollah model in Lebanon. Why is that disastrous? Why is that disastrous? Hamas gets to escape all accountability associated with the failure of the government, and yet Hamas gets to ensure that there is no durable peace. The consequence? The international community, whether it be the Arabs or the region or the European or the United States, are not going to pump any real investment dollars into Gaza out of fear that we've seen this play out before. Roger Shanahan, a Middle East analyst who has been posted to Australian embassy in the region, warned about the long-term commitment required. Trump's only got a bit over 3 years left in power. So even if he was to put a lot of his attention toward this, he's only got a limited tenure. And the Gulf states providing funding, they'll be very careful to ensure that the political future of Gaza is something that's going to be in line with their foreign policy. So, where does this leave us? 20 hostages are coming home. A ceasefire is holding, at least for now. Aid will flow into Gaza. These are not small things, they are profound humanitarian achievements after 2 years of devastation. But as Lowenstein cautioned, even while expressing caution hope, there's a million different ways these deals can go sideways. I've been a part of several situations that just disintegrate very quickly. The question isn't whether Trump deserved credit for getting this far. Multiple experts, even skeptics, acknowledge he does. The question is whether the international community, led by an American president with less than 4 years remaining and a famously short attention span, can sustain the pressure, the investment, and the diplomatic resolve needed to turn a ceasefire into actual peace. This is Miko Santos. Welcome to Inside OSPO.